Hi YouTube, I am Danielle, and today I wanted to talk to you about God and Christ and returning to Him just so that our station as Black people um, can change. I have been praying since March because it became evident at that point because we had stopped, right? I had stopped working and going to the hustle and bustle. I had stopped going shopping and thinking about the next holiday. The pandemic really did pause my life in a way that, in some ways, I am thankful because it has forever changed me and it has forever changed how I respond and raise my children. Now, even in the pandemic, the one thing that was certain was that no matter how successful I would become, no matter how blessed I would be, no matter how hard I would work, it wouldn't save my sons and it wouldn't protect my husband, because even if I were to move into the best neighborhood in the best house, it wouldn't stop a cop from pulling them over and assaulting or even ending their life. And that realization really, really hit hard. As an immigrant, I'm Jamaican, we are taught that we're Black, but we're Jamaican too, so we're a bit different. But that's not true. It's not true. When they see us, they see the color of our skin, and it is automatically viewed as a threat. And I understood then something that I hadn't understand prior to that, was that there is no differentiation. There is no, oh, she's Jamaican, or she's Haitian, or oh, she's African. They just see Black and it is automatically seen as a threat. And so I returned to Christ after, taking my 20s and my late teens off of God, because I wanted to go out and do whatever I wanted to do without having to face the consequences. And I am so thankful that God kept me during that time so that I could get to this point where I am talking to you now, because I am forever changed. I had started praying and asking God to help us. I want to say about 3 weeks ago, I had started a fast because I had wanted Him to reveal to me what He wanted me to do with myself, because I figured as a middle of a pandemic, if there is supposed to be a rebirth or a reinvention, now would be the time. If I needed to go change career paths, now would be the time. If I wanted to go out and do something different, I could do it now. And because everything was on pause, I was able to focus on Him in a way that I hadn't been able to do before. And so I just started praying and asking God for His protection on my children. I started praying for protection on my brother. I started praying for protection of my sister and all of my family across the country, and even, really just across the country. And as I started praying, it later became apparent to me that it's not, I was praying the wrong prayer. I was praying a selfish prayer, if you can think about it. I was praying for deliverance from my family, not realizing that everyone that looked like me, whose skin was brown, was also experiencing the same things that I had experienced. And I wanted to I realized that I really needed to be praying for everyone in our community as a whole. And so I started praying, and I started crying, and I started praying, and I started praying, and I started reading the Old Testament, because I realized that I had learned so much about who Jesus is, right? That part of God, that forgiving person, that loving person. But I needed to know who God is. And I figured I would start in the Old Testament, because that was just God talking to his prophets, talking to his people, delivering his people, and working miracles. And I wanted to know God in that sense, because I needed to fear him in a way that I would not go back to who I was before I had given my life over to him. And so I started reading the story of the Israelites, of the story of Joseph, and one of the things that stood out to me was why God picked the Israelites. Was it's very similar to our story. The Israelites were, he said, the smallest and the weakest, and they were being picked on and made fun of and systematically destroyed. And as a baby, he picked them up and he wrapped them in cloth, just with that loving, right? That's God in his. That's the God that we attribute to Jesus. That loving. And he said when they started growing breasts, he gave him his robe, put fine jewels on them, and he started to set them apart because he loved them. And I realized that there is no other story in the Bible that is parallel to our existence as it is with the Israelites. And so I wanted to see exactly how they got God's attention after they were in bondage with the Egyptians. And how they got his attention was that they were groaning. They were groaning. They were groaning. And I just kept hearing that in my spirit. They were groaning. They were crying out. They were crying out to him. They were groaning. 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 And I realized then that we were groaning to social media, that we were groaning to Twitter, we were groaning to Facebook and Instagram, we were groaning to Snapchat, we were groaning to creations and not the creator, because all things come from him. And I realized that he was telling me that he sees us. He said, I see you. I see the plight of my people. I see it. But what I haven't heard from you all is that groaning. You guys weren't groaning. There is no crying out. He sees our pain, but he sees us crying out to our idols. He sees us crying out to our idol of technology, our idol of power, asking them to welcome us in their fold, even after they have proven that they have no interest in it. God is saying, where is your groan? In Exodus 3:7-9, it says, the Lord said, I have seen the oppression of my people who are in Egypt, and I've heard their cry because of their taskmasters. For I know their sorrows. He is intimate with our pain. He is intimately aware of our pain. So he says, I have come down from heaven to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them out of that land to a good and large land, to a land flowing with milk and honey. It goes on to say, now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of his Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Egyptians oppress them. He sees it. He says, I have seen the oppression of my people. He sees our oppression too. But what he doesn't hear is our groan. Where is your groan? You are asking for blessings, but you are getting blessings that will never be as big or as great as he wants them to be because your people are oppressed. Where is your groan? You are asking for protection for your husband and your brother and your sister, and he's protecting them, but every time another Black person gets killed by a police officer or by some vigilante, your heart is broken in a million pieces. Where is your groan? When they knock down your door in your house and shoot an unarmed man in his house minding his business, your heart is heavy and your spirit is troubled. But you go on social media, where is your groan to Christ? He's like, where is your groan? Where is it? So I spent the last couple of weeks groaning out to God, and I've been asking him to move. I've been asking him to move. I've been crying out. I've been crying out. I've been praying without ceasing. But I'm just one. And I know he can do a lot with just one. But he also says where two or three are gathered. My Jamaican just came out. He's in the midst. So today I'm going to pray that you all get to a place where you have asked him for forgiveness of your sin. And please don't just ask him for forgiveness of your sin and then carry on the way that you have been living. You don't want to be lukewarm. He's not the ATM machine. He's not Santa Claus. Listen, y'all, he created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. He's the same God that delivered us from enslavement. And the Europeans went to the African continent and stole our ancestors and forced them to work for free and systematically broke their spirits and destroyed their bodies just so that they can make some money and consolidate power. They cried out to God and he delivered us. But when we got across the river and we got our blessings, we stopped groaning. We forgot. We forgot. So we've been in our wilderness for about 40 years. Longer. He wants to lead us out of our wilderness. He wants to get us to our promised land. And I don't know what that promised land is. I can't tell you. But my God is able. My God is a deliverer. My God can make me whole again. My God is a waymaker.